Techies are surprised when I say I mostly use Windows. Why would anyone who writes code and edits video use Windows? Two reasons. One, it's cheaper, and two, it lets me bodge. So sit back, because yes, I'll tell you how I made the Emoji Keyboard, but more importantly, I will tell you about the art of the bodge. In the order that I'd put them down on the keys, and I told Lua macros, when you get a key, calculate that number like we just did, look it up in the big list of emoji, go down that many lines, and type that emoji. And it didn't work either. Didn't work. Because there are no emoji keys on a regular keyboard. Of course there aren't. No one has been ridiculous enough to make an emoji keyboard yet. So there isn't a key combination that will get you an emoji. All right, there might have been swearing at this point, just a little. So, okay, what next? Well, it turns out that Windows has a way of writing special characters, and quite a few of you will remember it. You hold down the Alt key, and then you type numbers on the numeric keypad. That's not even from Windows. That goes all the way back to original IBM PCs and BIOS and DOS. Okay, it's decades old, but it still works, because Microsoft is obsessive about backwards compatibility. You can still type those like it was the late 80s. But then they realised, oh, now we've got all those Unicode characters, so they used a bodge. They extended it to Unicode. You do a quick registry tweak, you can type Alt, +, and then a Unicode code point, and it will type it all the way up to emoji. Hallelujah! And I got that working, and it threw emoji into Microsoft Word, and I was laughing. And then I tried it in a web browser like for Twitter, and it didn't work either, because that backwards compatibility means that adding Unicode points only works in rich text boxes, things that allow formatting, not plain ones. Couple of hours went by at this point, but I was nearly there. I got quite frustrated. I took a break, and I swear, at some point while I was cooking dinner, it was like a light came on in my head, and the gods of bodging shone down upon me, and I shouted out loud, AutoHotkey. Yeah, that wasn't just a pointless ramble about bodging earlier with AutoHotkey. AutoHotkey, because it can't tell which keyboard is being pressed, but that doesn't matter. What it can do is type emoji. It can look down the list of emoji. It can read a particular character from a line, and it can enter it anywhere, because it doesn't use key presses. It uses low-level Windows stuff. So I have one program, Lua macros. It can read the keyboards and work out which emoji the user wants. And I have one program that, if we already know which emoji the user wants, can type it. So it was bodging time. Here's how this keyboard works. You press a key. Lua macros intercepts it on the way in, stops Windows actually typing the letter or whatever's underneath it. It works out which number emoji you want, and it saves that number to a file on disk. Then it presses the F24 key. That's right, there's an F24 key. It's not on my keyboard, it's almost certainly not on your keyboard, but it's still a key that Windows can deal with because backwards compatibility. And AutoHotkey is listening for that F24 key, and when it hears it, it reads that same file, the file that Lua macros just put the number in. It reads that number, it looks down the list of emoji, and it types that emoji. That is how the Emoji Keyboard works. That's why I use Windows, and that is the art of the bodge. AutoHotkey is such a good bodging tool that it sometimes gets detected as a virus. AutoHotkey was originally meant to be really, really simple. It waits until the user presses a certain key, and then it starts a program, or it types some longer text, or it presses a more complicated series of key commands that would be really difficult otherwise. Like, if you wanted your F10 key to make your video game character suddenly spin 180 and fire, got it. No problem, AutoHotkey was it. Thing is, AutoHotkey grew and grew and grew and grew and grew, and its scripting language, the stuff you have to write in to make it work, is terrible. I mean, really awful. It was meant to do really simple things, and over time, it's gained the ability to do so much. It can read files, it can look at the color of individual pixels on screen, it can call arbitrary Windows DLLs, it can parse regular expressions, so anyone who knows what those are, but it's all in this weird, non-standard way that is inspired by Visual Basic. AutoHotkey is a bodge that helps you make other bodges, but it works. And it means that instead of having to spend hours of time diving into complicated operating system level stuff, you just write a few lines of script and it does the job. I used AutoHotkey on the TV show to control the release of a skydiver's parachute, and it worked. I mean, really well. I mean, we had a reserve, but it worked. The greatest bodge I ever pulled for that TV show involved, I swear this is true, a voice synthesizer and a copy of Sibelius on a Mac being remote controlled by AutoHotkey on a Windows PC, which was blindly dragging the mouse around, doing pre-recorded movements through a remote desktop connection, while another PC fired commands to a Google Chrome window open on the Mac over Wi-Fi, because AppleScript and all the similar tools for Mac that we needed to run on Sibelius just weren't up to doing something that ridiculous. And by the way, if anyone out there suggests using Linux, no. One take! Thank you, Matt.